Earlier today, Lev Parnas and his attorney released the full audio and video from an April 2018 donor dinner. A tape previously we only had clips of. Among the attendees at this dinner with President Trump were Parnas and Igor Fruman, months before they became involved with Rudy Giuliani in the campaign to recall Ukraine Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. Now the president said he doesn't know the two men, something Parnas contradicted on this show when he discussed details of this encounter. Now the recording released today, while a bit shaky, clearly shows the president entering a room. On the tape, which we'll play in a moment, you hear his voice and that of Parnas, Fruman, and about a dozen others, mostly fundraisers. Much of the approximately 80-minute tape involves discussions about a variety of topics, including North Korea and the upcoming congressional elections. But during a conversation about energy policy and Vladimir Putin, Parnas mentions Ukraine. It's at that point they discuss Ambassador Yovanovitch.
The biggest problem there, I think, where we need to start is we got to get rid of the ambassador. She's still left over from the Clinton administration.
Who were the ambassador? Were Ukraine?
Yeah, and she's basically walking around telling everybody, wait, he's going to get impeached, just wait. I mean,
really?
it's incredible. It's
She'll be gone tomorrow.
What's her name?
I don't remember
I don't
the
have her
name.
name back.
So one of the things that will be, now that we have a Secretary of State that's been sworn in.
Get rid of her.
Hooray. One of the first
Okay,
things
get her out
that
tomorrow.
will,
I don't care. Get her out tomorrow. Take her out. Okay?
Excellent.
Do it.
Just before air, I spoke with Lev Parnas' attorney, Joseph Bondi. I want to ask you about some of the stuff that's on these recordings. At one point, the president asked Lev Parnas about the former president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, and I just want to play this.
Do they feel they're going to be okay?
Yes. They feel they're going to be okay if you support them, yeah.
And
if
what
you
do you
don't
think
love
of the
Russia.
leader?
Poroshenko is a good guy. He wants the right thing for it. I mean, the
It's
biggest
always us that has to support everybody.
well, the biggest problem is the
Right.
corruption
And you
there.
wonder,
Yeah.
why isn't it Germany supporting?
It's interesting, though. I think it's Lev Parnas who says that the biggest problem is corruption. The president kind of brushes by that and seems to focus more on, Germany not doing more, which sort of runs counter to what his reporters say, which is he was very concerned about corruption, number one.
I think that snippet is consistent with what the president has said for a long time, which is that other countries don't pull their weight and the United States is paying a lot of money, whether it's South Korea or Germany.
Do you know the reason why Igor Fruman made these recordings?
I don't know why he made the recordings. Some people make recordings, they like to take pictures. I can't ascribe any kind of motive beyond that.
But he sent the recordings to Lev Parnas?
Yes.
Do you know, are there more recordings that Lev Parnas has?
Yes.
With the president?
Yes.
Or do you plan to release those?
Perhaps. We've sent recordings to the House Intelligence Committee also. This seems to be the recording that certainly addresses the issue of the ambassador, and we thought it was really important to get that recording out in public today.
To you, what is the significance of these recordings?
I think there's a few aspects that are important. First off, we hear the president himself saying, get rid of the ambassador, you got to fire her, get her out of there. And this is one of the first occasions in which he attempts to remove the ambassador. Lev Parnas, as he has explained it to me, was shocked that he might raise the subject of the ambassador and have the chief executive say, get rid of her and fire her. He could never possibly have expected that the president would literally take that step.
It's also interesting because Lev Parnas, in the interview, in the talk that we had, he was saying he actually didn't really know anything about the ambassador.
Right.
He had just been told and kind of revved up by other people who were saying, oh, she's bad-mouthing the president. And he conveyed that message in this recording, just as he said he did, to President Trump. And that's when President Trump said, take her out.
Yeah, I think there's even a snippet of the recording where Lev indicates he doesn't even know her name.
In this one, the president's talking about the threat on the ground. Let's just listen to him.
How long have they lasted a fight with Russia?
No, I don't think very long.
Without us, not very long.
How's Ukraine feeling about it all right now?
They're actually
very much
appreciate everything you're doing.
Did it seem clear to you that the president had a deep knowledge of Ukraine? Do you think he was just making conversation with people he's stuck at a dinner with?
I wonder. I like to believe he's been briefed on Ukraine by his advisors. I like to think he has some understanding of Ukraine. But what this aspect of the tape shows us is that it was already on his mind that Ukraine was vulnerable without military aid from the United States. But then you have to remember that at some point beginning 2019, Lev delivers to Poroshenko a quid pro quo. You won't get a White House visit unless you announce a anti-corruption campaign with the Bidens.
It's still fascinating to me. I've been thinking a lot about what Parnas said, that the fact that he was the guy and Igor Fruman, according to Lev Parnas, were the people on the ground in Ukraine, and they would literally go to a meeting with the former president, with the man who would ultimately is now heading the intelligence services in Ukraine under Zelensky, and hold up a phone, and Rudy Giuliani would be on speakerphone saying, "Listen to these guys. They represent us. They represent the president. They represent me. Listen to what they have to say, what they're going to tell you."
It's not conventional. You wouldn't expect diplomacy to be conducted that way. And I can kind of wonder if there's some reason to have Igor and Lev doing that bidding.
I mean, if it's actually in the national security interest, it makes no sense that it's these two guys.
Guys with no security clearance and no diplomacy expertise and who have no background in politics. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Can you say if Parnas and Fruman gave donations to other, GOP senators, to Congress people? I mean, I know from the public record he gave donations to sort of joint fundraising committees that could then be distributed to a number of candidates.
Yes.
Did he also give directly?
I think it was more, there were some direct donations, small direct donations, but really more larger donations to super PACs that could then unbundle those donations and give them to the GOP candidates that they believed most needed them.
At the time these recordings were made, had Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman already begun working with Giuliani? Or was this before that began?
Mr. Parnas had met Mr. Giuliani. He did not have much of a relationship with Mr. Giuliani.
So he hadn't, at this point, paid Giuliani the $500,000 to be involved in another business he had?
No, I don't believe that the payment was before this dinner. He had met him in 2016 in Florida at a fundraiser. They'd seen each other at the inauguration and at other Republican events. But thereafter, you see Lev and Mr. Giuliani traveling to various candidates' campaigns for purposes of the midterm elections.
So at the time this was made, they're sitting at that table not because Giuliani has brought them there. They're sitting at that table because they donated and got seats at this private event at the president's hotel.
Exactly.
What is he looking at now?
I like to think that there will be still a vote in the Senate for there to be witnesses and evidence. It would be awful for me. I can't imagine there being a trial without those things. It would literally be like a silent movie or a puppet show. And I'd like to think that we still, while we have a couple days, can push that movement and affect change.
Responde, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.